Hello. Once you have Callarama installed, the next thing you might want to do is explore the menu buttons at the top of the screen. We're going to do that right now and tell you about what they do. The first one says reset to original size. What it means is that by pressing this button, it will reset the screen to the size that it's at originally. Now you can grab the corner of the screen and move it down just as you can the other screens from other applications, and you can do that with Callarama to size it the way you want. However, if you want to go back to the basic, you come up here, click the button, and it goes back to its original basic size. The second button is the layout. When you install Callarama, it defaults to the intro layout. This is a layout which allows you to do a lot of functioning, but it doesn't allow you to access all the functions. The other modes are list mode. We can click that to show you. And we can go to label mode, which makes this section over here show the different labels organized by program, Callarama call program, and the mini mode, which is used if you're on a small tablet and you're going to do a lot of the functions by voice. But today we're going to use the intro layout. The next screen panel shows you what you can do with the dancers on the floor. This is the floor, and this window over here has the calls in it. Right now it's set to 3D, but you might find it easier if you change it to checkers. Now, one other thing that you can do is create an external window which has in it the checkers or the 3D. This is good if you're giving a demonstration and you just want that window up for people to see. I'll show you how that works. So here's a separate window, and you see you can move that around, and it has the checkers on it. So we'll get rid of that. The next button is for changing the dancer icons. If we bring up that panel, we see there's normal. We can change the color scheme. We can highlight one couple or two couples. We can make them all gray, for example. We can have the numbers on them or not. We take the numbers off. Make them black and white, so I only know who they are by their numbers. The mark indicates whether you're marking the active dancers or not. And the random randomizes the colors. Right now we have it set to black and white, so if we take that off and we take off the gray. So there's a number of things you can do here. You can save the colors that you have. You can use the default color. You can revert back to saved colors. And you can have high resolution animation if you're recording or taking snapshots. And you can rotate the color scheme by clicking on this button here. So the next button is the call options. This says what CollarLab programs you're using. Right now it's set to mainstream plus and extra calls, and I'm going to take off the plus. And now it's just mainstream and extra calls. Moving on to list. The list panel allows you to select what kind of a list you're going to have over here on the right hand side. Right now it's got both the key and the name. Now the key is what you would type into Callarama to indicate a call, and the name is a description of what that key has the dancers do. You can also have a voice command list. These are the commands that you would give if you're using voice commands. You would give these or perhaps others if you create aliases, but this is for another tutorial. So right now I'll leave it at key and name. And smart calls, we'll have a whole tutorial about how smart calls works. But basically, dancers, as you move through a square, the active dancers change, and smart calls allows for Callarama to actually make these changes on the fly without the caller having to say, now the centers are going to do it, or now all of the dancers are going to do it. And there's a tutorial on that later. Moving on to voice, we have voice turned on. This is how you get to the voice editor, by clicking this button, and there's a whole tutorial on the voice editor, and there's help for the voice. We want to click on speech calls entered and speak calls played. What this does is Callarama will do text-to-speech when you enter calls. Down here you would enter your calls. We'll go through that later. And when dancers are dancing, they will speak the calls if this is checked. And this is helpful because you don't want to be looking over here to see what call is playing and then watch what the dancers are doing. You want to just keep your eyes on the dance floor and let Callarama tell you what the dancers are doing. You can keep your eyes in one place. The beep is an error alert. It tells you if you've called something that's invalid, and some people don't like the beep, so there's an ability to turn it on and off by clicking on that button. Go on to choreo. There's a whole lot of choreography built into Callarama, and we're going to have a whole tutorial about that, and it brings up this window, but we won't do that now. Tools, there's, by checking this top box, it indicates that it's going to connect to Callarama.com every time you bring Callarama up to see if there's a new version, and if there is, it will tell you about it. This way you can keep up with new changes automatically. The buttons down here are about importing and exporting, and there'll be a whole routine about how to do that. The help we've talked about before. There's the 34-page help manual. There's the getting started part of it. There's the voice recognition. There's a whole section on licensing. But in addition to this, you also have the help of the CollarLab definitions. They're built in. You can click on that, and it brings up the CollarLab definitions, and you can then click to see particular definitions. But we'll close that window at this point. And finally, there's the info button, which tells you what version of Callarama you have. It tells you whether it's activated or not. This particular one is the free version, and if you want to activate it, you would take this code in the box, and after you have paid with PayPal, you would send it into the Callarama support, and they will send you back an activation key, which you put in this field, and then you would click OK, and then your copy of Callarama would be activated, and you don't have to download any more software. It's all here. It just gets activated. And as I mentioned earlier, this will allow you to save routines. This button will be operational, and you will be able to have more than 8 calls over in the call recording section of the screen. And that completes the tutorial of the main buttons.